You are listening to the Atlanta Real Estate Forum radio show, all about real estate edition, shining a light on the movers and shakers in the real estate industry, the home builders, developers, realtors, and suppliers making it all happen.
Good morning and welcome back to Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio's All About Real Estate edition. I'm your host, Carol Morgan, and I'd like to give a special thanks to our 2022 show sponsor, New American Funding. Atlanta Real Estate Forum is made possible thanks to them. Well, the real estate market continues to be crazy red hot. And if you're in the market for a new home, you are sure to glean some insight from today's guest. I am joined in the studio today by Jeff Glick. He is a team lead and senior loan consultant with New American Funding. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thank you, Carol. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you here. Well, take a quick minute and just give us a quick overview. Tell us about yourself.
Well, the quick answers for myself. I've been in mortgages since approximately 2003. So going on, I believe, about 19 years. I've seen a lot of changes in the industry since that time. I'm a married father of three. I have a great team that supports me. I've been with New American Funding for a little over 5 years. And just been having a great time building a great team and a great business.
Well, I'm sure you have a ton of fun working with New American Funding. I love talking to everyone I've met from that team. So for any of our listeners who are unfamiliar with New American Funding, give us a quick overview.
Well, New American Funding, it's a privately held company. So owned by Rick and Patty Arvielo. Their mothership, as I refer to it, is out west. We do a little bit over $30 billion. We service our loans. That might mean something to some folks and not, but we have a $52 billion servicing portfolio. It's a group of people that are dedicated to not only mortgages in the industry. Patty and Rick sit on many boards that influence what mortgages do. I believe we're a top 10 or top 20 mortgage bank, and we're a mortgage bank in the country. And then we have our Southeast region, which, as you know, is headed up by Kelly Allison, and that's the team that I work directly for. And we're a pretty healthy Southeast region.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly's wonderful, and Kel and Sarah and everyone who works with Kelly.
Yeah, the whole group is great.
Well, and you've been with New American Funding for about 5.5 years, according to your LinkedIn profile. So I guess two things, talk a little bit about some of the changes you've seen during this time, and then talk about what it is that keeps you happy and keeps you working for New American Funding.
Well, the changes, again, if you go back to 2003 and you go through the 2008, 9, 10 collapse, people, I say we wear that when people ask, hey, so how long you been doing this? You say, oh, I've been doing it for 19 years. And, oh, so you were here through the collapse. Yeah. Did you have another job during that time? You say, no, I literally just did mortgages. And they're like, congratulations. It's like a badge of honor that you made it through that period, right? And so now you will fast forward into 2021 or 2020, right? Which was a completely unique set of circumstances when, we woke up in January of 2020, and then February came, and the next thing you know, it's March, and we have this thing called COVID, right?
Right.
Nobody knew what was going to happen, and by the end of the year, we were drinking out of a fire hose for about 9 months. 2021 came up, and again, hey, what's going to happen to the mortgage industry? And it continued to be very robust. However, it presented its own unique set of circumstances, right? It was different than 2020. Inventory continued to be the big question. Hey, can somebody find a house? The clients were there, the inventory, not so much. And then you get into what's 2022 have in store for us. And so coming out of the gate in 2022, what we're seeing now is we still have limited inventory, but now we're being challenged with also increasing interest rates.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But boy, I'll take 2020, 2021, 2022 over 2007, 8, 9, 10 any
Yeah.
day of the week. Although actually 2007 was pretty good. It was 8, 9,
2007,
10.
yeah, early
Yeah.
2000s were
Woo.
great, right? It's
Yeah.
that 9, 10, 11 were dicey.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about your team at New American Funding.
Well, again, this is then again going back to working for great leadership, right? Doing this thing from 2003 up until 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, before I started working with the Southeast region and Kelly in that group. It was just me as a one-man show, right? And
Wow.
and had pretty good success, but I was a Me Too guy, right? They encouraged me to grow. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you push that envelope and I brought on my first assistant, 5 years. I've been with them 5.5. I brought on my first assistant 5 years ago. Was fearful and wow, what's this mean? And right out of the gate, we started to see success. Right. Mm-hmm. And now I have 3 assistants.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's great about it is from a leadership perspective, I still wake up every day. We still come to work. We still do mortgages. We still work really tirelessly for our clients. But I also get to think about growing my team, growing my business. I get to think about mentoring. I get to think about leading. I get to think about pouring into people, which takes the mortgage industry and expands it a little bit versus just what we, for many years, it was a transaction. It was transactional. It was just, hey, the next loan, next loan. We've been able to put a little bit bigger lens on that, right?
Yeah, I like that. So, not only are you counseling your clients and customers, but you're also counseling and, growing and mentoring, as you mentioned, this team that's going to go on to be, New American Funding's future. So
yeah.
That's fantastic.
My team's younger than I am, so they'll be here long after I'm gone.
Well, that's our goal. We're supposed to train our replacements, right? So exactly. I get that. Talk a little bit about what loan products are popular this year with buyers. Again, I guess as interest rates are kind of creeping up a little bit, maybe that changes what buyers are looking at, or maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a great question. Over the last couple of years, you have fixed rate mortgages, you have, jumbo mortgages, conventional mortgages, you have adjustable rate mortgages, and then one-offs from all of that, right?
Right.
Bank statement programs, asset reduction stuff, so there's all kinds of programs out there. New American Funding has access to, a huge, bunch of different programs. Over the last couple of years, the fixed rate mortgages has been the way to go. Whether you're talking about a 15, a 20, a 30-year fixed mortgage, rates have been so good that there would be really no reason to go into an adjustment.
Right. Well, it's been like free money, right?
Yeah, it's
like, again, you start talking 2 point anything, I'm like, golly. Yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth. 2 point anything. You go, hey, wait a second. And by the way, even today in a rising interest rate deal, as a matter of fact, I just yelled out earlier to my assistant. I said, Scotty, a client of ours came back looking to purchase another home, sent me an email that I sent them in November of 2020. Right. And it had rate and everything. And so today you're talking about rates being, into the mid to high 3s potentially. And by the way, November 2020, you were the mid 3s, right? So,
wow.
Okay. Yeah, rate. It's as a matter of fact, if you go back, I did an exercise in the beginning of 2021, where we thought rates might increase. And I looked back at our business in 2019 and rates were, what you and I would consider low, but they were high 3s, maybe 4, sometimes into the 4s. So historically, we're still in a really, really great spot.
Yeah.
Just maybe a little spoiled.
Well, very much spoiled. I mean, let's not talk about the rates. I'm trying to remember what year I bought my first home, but it was pre-2000. I'll say that. And I bet that rate was 8.5. It might have even been 12. I mean, so you look at today's rates. And again, for anyone who didn't buy a home 20 years ago or whatever that was, 30 years ago, I'm not that old. I must have been 10 when I bought my first home.
You and me both.
But yeah, just golly, I mean, even at 3 point whatever, it's still
3 point, 4 point, whatever. I did
incredibly,
plenty of loans at
yeah.
5 point, right?
It's
So,
yeah,
that drives you back to the question, tell me about programs and product, right?
yeah,
So what you might find, the adjustable rates haven't been anything to look at over the last 24 months, right? But had a conversation with an LO yesterday, and we started talking about it. Hey, you know what? Maybe go back and take a look at adjustable rate.
right.
They were just there wasn't anything great about them. So when you think about loan programs, one of the programs that we brought back probably about 6 months ago is our renovation loan program.
Ah, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
That got shelved during COVID and then came back 6 months ago, and just had a client actually email me this morning and said, hey, my husband and I are looking to buy a home, but it needs a lot of work. I said, well, we have both the FHA 203K and we have the home style renovation loan, which is the conventional version of that.
Yeah.
So that's some programs that came back on. Some of the riskier programs, so to speak, are showing back up. New American Funding also came out with what they call their buyer acceptance program. So one of the things that was sort of born out of this limited inventory, highly competitive market was some companies that were able to give you almost like a cash offer, right?
Right.
So you could go in and, hey, I'm qualified for financing, but I'm not winning. So how about if I reach out to a company that'll pay cash and then I do the financing? Well, New American Funding came out again, probably about 4 to 6 months ago, with their buyer acceptance program, where we will actually buy the home for cash and then do the permanent financing for you at the same time.
Wow. That's a great deal.
Yeah, so that's a pretty exciting program. We still again have our on what they call non-QM stuff, which is a bank statement program for those self-employed borrowers that may have a Schedule C on their tax returns that might not show that much on their net adjusted income. We can go bank statements.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice perk. Well, you mentioned FHA loans, but talk a little bit more about FHA. They've raised loan limits.
Yeah, they have.
What does that mean? And how does that impact home buyers?
Well, actually, there's two things that have expanded. Now, my team, we traditionally, my business is probably 65% FHA. Right. So we do a fair amount of Govy stuff. We do a little bit of USDA, we do a little bit of VA, but 65% FHA versus conventional. FHA not only increased their loan limit, meaning how much you can finance, right? You can buy whatever you want, but you can only finance X, and that is by county. So you have to look at the county and you have to say, okay, this is how much you can finance there. So that allowed the borrower to, obviously in today's market where home prices have been increasing, right, at a pretty good clip. Appreciation last year was double digit, and they expected to be high single to low double digit again this year. So what it was doing was the house prices kept going up and up and this, but you can only finance this. So by expanding that, now it got that client back into the game, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's amazing to me, some of these houses, that are not appraising for what people are offering for them, and then they're just still bringing cash to the table. So it's like the Wild West out there.
A little bit.
Like
we've seen. I talk to agents every day, and one of the things that I've recently been talking about is we've seen less appraisals coming in low.
Good.
And when they do by a slimmer margin than potentially 8-9 months ago, where you just kept getting them in going, oh my gosh, it's this far off, right? That seems to be sort of quieting down a little bit.
Well, that makes sense though, because you think about it, as prices escalated, 8 or 9 months ago, there might not have been comps for those escalations, and now there are. So I guess that's good. Well, what sets New American Funding apart as a lender partner to agents? Why should realtors come and work with you guys?
Well, I think there's a couple different answers to that. One of them, going back to, you mentioned Kel, who's the head of our marketing department here in the Southeast. We have a wonderful marketing department. We do great co-branding. So we have a lifetime drip campaign for post-closing. We co-brand that with our realtor agents. flyers, all this stuff, post-closing stuff, you name it, we have it as far as marketing is concerned, if that's of value to our realtor partners, right?
Right.
From a lending perspective, I believe that we have just a huge portfolio of programs. So there's really nothing you can come to and say, hey, I need this loan program. Do you have it? We have a pretty good breadth of product. Again, 19 years into this business, we underwrite to the guidelines. So, in this industry, you can have guidelines and then you can have some what they call overlays to mitigate risk. We literally, I think we have one overlay on one program. And other than that, the way that the guideline was built, whether it's Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, we underwrite to that. We have a group of people, if you go onto my website and you look at all of the reviews or anybody in our company's reviews, I think you'll see that one of the words that is used very often is caring. So we have a group of people that are tireless. They literally work all the time. And when you need something, it's just not one person rallying, it's a group of people rallying to execute and get something done.
Yeah, I hear that so much. And, people who, might not even be on the Jeff Glick team will, pitch in if you need help from another team. I mean, that's what I hear over and over and over again from, the various different people we talk to at New American Funding. It's just how much of, I've heard it referred to as a family, and how much everybody helps each other and takes care of the customer, which, at the end of the day is what it's all about.
That conversation yesterday. What about you got to think customer first, and I think that's what is one of the big reasons we're a little bit different than others.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go off script a little bit. I guess I'm just curious. What's your favorite part about your job?
Well, it's a great question, right? So coming out of 2020, I reevaluated what I was doing. What I was doing as a person, right? And wanted to add depth to my job. I didn't want it to be transactional, as that had been for many years, right? And so last year, I spent really with business coaches and mentors and just really trying to figure out what I want to be, right? And what do I want my team to be? And really talked to Kelly yesterday, and my comment was, you know what? Every day is just an opportunity to help, to grow, to learn, to be better than you were the day before. And I live by that, and I always have. But my favorite part of the day is waking up and getting after it, really, and then pouring into people and making this job not just a job, but it's a little cliche to say a career, but something with meaning and depth.
I love that. Help, grow, learn, be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
That's great advice for life, for everyone, really. Help, grow, learn. If you're helping and growing and learning, then, that checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah. Well, life as life is, there's challenges every day.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you go, okay, that's a challenge. Now let's figure it out.
Yeah. Well, what trends do you see out there in the mortgage market, and what are you excited about for this year?
Well, the trend, I think, is what we're going to see is rising. Again, the pressure on the 10-year Treasury, the pressure, with what the government's doing with the rate hikes over this year. I believe, and I think the industry will back this up. And what I read is rates will be going up.
Yeah.
Again, if you take 2020 out of the mix, you go, okay, well, they're still fantastic, as you and I talked about earlier. But I do believe rates will go up. Inventory is still going to be a problem, so I have heard that potentially by summer it'll loosen up a little bit. But we'll see how that goes. I think we're probably 3 or 4 years away from really having back to, pre-pandemic inventory levels, right? So I think those are the trends.
Because we have like less than a month's inventory on the ground in Atlanta right now. It's historically low. I know we keep using the word historic. I feel like we've used that word way too much in the last 2 or 3 years. But normal inventory for Atlanta is more like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And we're at like 0.6 0.7.
Yes.
We're not even at 1. It's,
Yeah, it's nuts.
0.6, 0.7s where it's been. So, to me, it's just, it's just going to continue to be a seller's market as long as the inventory is that low. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But what we do a lot of things here on the front end where, we've tried to position our clients, especially, you go back to, hey, what sets you apart? All of our clients now, we take from pre-qualification to pre-approval, meaning that the underwriter, even without a purchase sale agreement, has underwritten a complete file. So it allows our clients and our agents to go out there and eliminate finance contingencies, have 14-day closes, all of those things that may be of value.
I mean, I think it's a value because you think about it, if you're already pre-qualified and you've made an offer and there's multiple offers going in and you're the only one that's pre-qualified, maybe you offered $10,000 less than somebody else, but maybe, the buyer's not sure they can qualify, or I'm sorry, the seller's not sure they can qualify.
Right.
So, I know which offer I'd pick if I was selling that house and wanted to, move fast. I'd take the one that was already, that you knew that you could close in 30 days or 45 days.
Or 14. No,
or 14.
We're under 30 days with our eyes closed. 22 days is kind of just running the mill for us. And again, we can knock it out in 14 days if we have.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's good work.
It's very good work. Well, and that's what New American Funding is known for. Well, before I let you go, do you have anything else that, you wish that our listeners knew about mortgages before they pick up the phone and call you?
Well, not really, at the end of the day, pick up the phone, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, you've just got to make the first step, right? Again, I've been doing this for 19 years. My team's been together for 6 years. We're a pretty solid team. The company, when you look at what our underwriters are able to do, our closers are able to do, there's just so much involved. There's so much involved with credit. There's so much involved with income at times where it's hourly versus salary versus self-employed. I mean, the real thing is, hey, start the process, get pre-qualified, then get pre-approved and go, okay, now I'm ready. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and work with somebody who'll work with you, so,
yep.
So work with somebody who cares, who, puts their customers first. So help, grow, learn, right?
I might get a tattoo with that.
Now. I like that. Well, let our listeners know, how can they get more information on you? And where can they go to get more information on New American Funding?
So New American, you just Google, right. I had a client call me the other day, which is a little bit unique, found me on my Facebook, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, excuse me, so, but if you Google Jeff Glick, I'm going to pop up and you're going to go, oh, there's Jeff. And you can go right to my website and you go, oh, great. Here's programs. Here's Jeff. Here's his team. Here's 700 plus reviews from his clients and his agents. Hey, guy might know what he's talking about, right? Same thing with New American Funding. You can just Google New American Funding. And if you want to be specific to the Southeast, say Southeast, and there you go. You can call me, 404-915-6834. It's my cell phone. Call me, text me, email me, whatever works best for you. And we're here to serve.
Perfect. So call Jeff. Or Google New American Funding, because after all, Google is the homepage of all of us on the internet, right? You can find everything you need there. So with that, we're going to say that's a wrap of this week's Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio's All About Real Estate edition. On behalf of our sponsor, New American Funding, I'm your host, Carol Morgan, and I would like to thank Jeff Glick for joining me in studio today on behalf of New American Funding. If you joined today and you enjoyed today's show, I would appreciate you following Atlanta Real Estate Forum on Facebook to keep up with all of our news. And if you'd like to find out how to participate in Atlanta Real Estate Forum, the website or the show, then give me a shout at carol@denimmarketing.com to find out how you can participate. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you here again next week.
Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio is made possible by Denim Marketing, the publisher of Atlanta Real Estate Forum, Atlanta's favorite source for real estate and home building news. Denim marketing is a comfortable fit, like your favorite pair of jeans. Denim marketing tailors marketing strategies to meet your specific needs and niche. Try them on for size. They will work to create a perfect fit for your company's marketing program. Call them at 770-383-3360 or send an email to info@denimmarketing.com. For more information on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio or to inquire about being a guest, contact info@atlantarealestateforum.com. Check out the radio show by visiting atlantarealestateforum.com or by listening to the show on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed today's broadcast, we'd sure appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio.